Hello everyone. Welcome to VSOL training course. Today's lesson is Product Special Features. I will introduce VSOL OLT and ONU special features to you. After this lesson, you will know and get familiar about special features of VSOL product. Today's lesson mainly divided into 5 parts. Lock features, license features, private protocol manage, OLT Autobind profile, ONU mirror diagnosis, VSOL INCE management system. First, we will talk about lock features. Lock feature is usually used for OLT and ONU. ONU can only work and register in specific OLT. Also, OLT only allows specific ONU to register. If lock ONU register in another OLT, that ONU will keep reboot. So it can't register in another OLT. If another ONU register in lock OLT, that ONU will not register and OLT will prompt illegal ONU. You can see in this picture. When this ONU try to register in lock OLT, it can't register and OLT will prompt illegal register. The neutral ONU can directly upgrade special firmware to become lock ONU. For how to become lock OLT, we will talk about it at next part. Of course, lock ONU has protections to prevent ONU from being upgraded to other versions. As you can see in this picture, is not possible to upgrade other firmware to lock ONU. If you want lock ONU become neutral ONU, you can upgrade the unlocked firmware. Next, we will talk about license features. License features used in VSOL OLT. It allows the use of license to control 3 parts. Enable or disable OLT lock features, limit OLT running time, and limit ONU quantity. Lock feature means only allow specific lock ONU register. So it need to use with specific lock ONU. Limit ONU quantity is means limit the registered ONU number. If some of the ONU online and offline ONU number exceeds specified quantity, the OLT will not allow the newly connect ONU register. Limit the OLT running time means that when the time exceeds, all PON port will shut down and cannot register any ONU. As the picture show, is able to check OLT license in OLT web and OLT command. The example picture shows OLT allowed running time is 31 days and allows 64 ONU registered. If OLT don't have any limited, it will show unlimited. Here we will talk about how to use OLT license features. This is a document about OLT license file. If you want to use OLT license, you need to get the OLT license file first. You can send your OLT label to our engineer. After apply with engineer, we will share the license like this picture show. In this file, we can see the OLT MAC and many keys. The MAC is your OLT MAC. Different OLT MAC and OLT model will have different license. The credit key is used to limited register ONU number and OLT running time. The U-boot key is for verification. The OLT lock key is for OLT lock feature. This key requires an additional request, so it usually does not appear on license files. The off key is used to enable or disable license features. The long keys below lock key are all the off keys. They serve different purposes. You can determine which off key to use by naming them. Lock is means OLT lock features. ONU is means limited ONU quantity. Day is means limited OLT running time. and the number before the word indicates whether the feature is enabled for this license. 1 means enable the limit. 0 means disable the limit. Such as this off key 0 lock 1 ONU 0 day is means only enable the ONU quantity limit. And the OLT lock and running time locking is disable. An OLT can only use one off key at the same time. So if you want use all limit, you need to select 1 lock 1 ONU 1 day, this off key. Then let us talk about how to use OLT license to enable the OLT limit. Here is the example to set the off key to OLT. For this example, we want to limit ONU quantity and OLT running time. So we select the off key 0 lock 1 ONU 1 day. Then we can use the command, like this example, to set the off key to OLT. At the off key, you need to replace with your off key. At the U-boot key, you need to replace with your U-boot key. Other commands please enter as it is. The commands is like the example photo. Please use correct key. If key is not true, the off key cannot set. After set the off key, we need reboot OLT to make it take effect. Then we can use credit key to set OLT running time and limited ONU quantity. At the credit key, you need to replace with your credit key. At times, you need to replace with your OLT running time that you want to set. Time units of seconds are used here. At the ONU nums, you need to replace with ONU quantity that you want to set. Other commands please enter as it is. The commands is like the example photo. Also we need reboot OLT to make it effect. After reboot OLT and check OLT web, you can see limit is set success. If you need to reset it, just enter a similar command again. It is also possible to set only one of the limits here. If you want to use OLT lock feature, you need to set off key to OLT. Lock requires an additional application. And this feature need to be used with a special version of ONU. Please refer to the first section for details. Here we only describe how to configure it. Here is the example which only use OLT lock feature limit. Since the commands are identical, they will not be explained here. After OLT reboot, we need to set OLT lock key. At the lock key, you need to replace with your lock key. At the U-boot key, you need to replace with your U-boot key. Other commands please enter as it is. The commands is like the example photo. After set the lock key and reboot OLT, you can check the OLT license again. If lock status show enable, that means the lock is effect. Next we will talk about VSOL Private Protocol Manage. VSOL Private Protocol means you can modify ONU parameters like SIP, Wi-Fi, LAN, DHCP by OLT. No need to log in ONU web to modify it. And it only work with VSOL OLT and VSOL ONU. Here is the menu to configure ONU SIP parameters. Usually we need to set it by ONU web. Now you can use VSOL Private Protocol and easy to modify it. Like the example photo, you can modify ONU SIP server parameters. Here we set the proxy service name and port and register service name and port. After submit the configuration, the ONU will have same configuration. Next is POTS management. In this menu, you can able to modify ONU SIP account. And you can see the ONU SIP register status at this menu. If the POTS status show idle, it means ONU already register in SIP server. If port status showing registering, means ONU trying to register in SIP server. If port status showing inactive, mean not enable SIP account. This is the example to show this menu corresponds to the ONU web page. Next, we will talk about WAN management. In this menu, you are able to create ONU WAN by OLT. WAN Connect table will show ONU current WAN configuration. Empty means no WAN in ONU now. WAN Connect running config shows ONU WAN configuration that's saved by OLT. When ONU come online, OLT will send config to ONU. Or you can manually click submit. And OLT will send this configuration to ONU immediately. You could choose to create Bridge WAN or Route WAN. And you can choose WAN work enable VLAN or disable VLAN. If create Route WAN, it's need to choose route mode. It's able to choose DHCP, static, or PPPoE mode. And you can choose the service mode to make that WAN work at some service. Such as you can create Internet WAN or VoIP WAN or TR069 WAN, etc. After that, you need to input the correct parameter. And you can bind the correct LAN port. Then you could click Add button, the WAN will show in Running Config menu. And you need to submit again to make OLT send configuration to ONU. In EPON OLT web, there have a menu named VoIP. This page is used to create voice WAN for HGU through public OAM. But if using VSOL ONU, we suggest create ONU voice WAN in WAN menu. Next is ONU DHCP management. In this menu is able to configure ONU DHCP server parameters. Include IPv4 and IPv6 DHCP server configuration. For ONU IPv4 DHCP configuration, you can configure ONU LAN IP, LAN subnet mask, IP address range, DNS, etc. After click the submit, OLT will send ONU LAN IPv4 configuration to ONU. All configuration is same as you configure it at ONU web. For ONU IPv6 DHCP configuration, you can configure ONU LAN IPv6 address, IP address range, DNS, etc. And you can set the raw flag to control computer use which way to get IPv6 address. All configuration is same as you configure it at ONU web. Next is ONU security menu. This menu allow you modify ONU admin or user account password, ONU firewall level, and LAN or WAN access. If you submitting need access ONU web or want to check the ONU password, you can check it at this menu. If you want to change ONU password, you need to enable the OLT control on the ONU user configuration. Then you can input the ONU password you want and click submit to make it effect. If you want to change the ONU LAN or WAN access, you need to set the firewall level to low. Then click the control and enable the WAN or LAN access. The protocol will show all the ONU access protocol. The control means enable the OLT control ONU access or not. The LAN is means the LAN access, when click is means allow LAN protocol access. The WAN is means the WAN access, enable means allow WAN access. The port is means ONU WAN access open port. Such as example photo. We use OLT enable the ONU WAN and LAN telnet access, and the ONU WAN and LAN HTTPS access. Other protocol is control by ONU. And the finally configuration is same as the ONU web example photo. Next is ONU TR069 management. This menu can modify ONU TR069 parameter. If you want to use this option, you need to enable the TR069 Manage Status first. Then input your ACS server address and the ACS server username and password. The ACS username and password is for authentication requested by the ONU from the server. Then input the reverse con username and password. That is the authentication of the server when requesting from ONU. If you need make ONU interval, send the inform request to server. You can enable the inform and input the inform interval time you want. Next is ONU CATV control. For those models that have CATV, also support disable ONU CATV from OLT. You can set it at OLT web like the example photo. When click CATV, enable the ONU CATV will enable. And also you can disable it at OLT web. If you want use command to disable the ONU CATV. You also can use example command to enable or disable it. The example command is means enable the PON 1 ONU ID 1 ONU CATV. Next is ONU Restore Default. You can use it to restore ONU to factory status. The example commands is to set the PON 1 ONU ID 1 Restore Factory. And you also can use OLT web to set ONU Restore Factory. Next, we will introduce how to use the OLT Autobind profile. The VSOL OLT profile, which will give you easy way to fast configure ONU. By Autobind profile, OLT will configure ONU TCONT, Gemport, service, etc. configuration to ONU. After config Autobind, all new register ONU will configure as profile. So you can no need to configure ONU again. First, we will talk about profile of VSOL GPON OLT. If you want to use Autobind, you need to create the ONU profile first. Firstly, we can add a line profile at first. In this profile, you can configure TCONT, Gemport, service, and service port. When configure TCONT, you need to bind a DBA profile. The DBA profile is for control ONU upstream traffic speed. Then configure Gemport. You can set the parameters that marked in red box. Other you can keep default. Gemport you need to bind the traffic profile. The traffic profile is for control ONU downstream traffic speed. Then you can configure service. Please choose correct Gemport ID and VLAN mode. If configured VLAN in ONU, the VLAN mode here should be tag. And you need to fill correct VLAN ID. Normally, there need to configure the VLAN same as your ONU WAN VLAN. If you didn't configure VLAN on ONU, then VLAN mode here should be untag. Then we need to configure the service port. Most of the VSOL GPON OLT have this option. If your OLT not have this option, you can skip this configuration. Choose proper service mapping mode and Gemport, fill the VLAN. For the service mode, you can select the CVLAN, CVLAN range transparent and untagged mode. CVLAN mode is for when ONUs use a small number of VLANs or need to perform VLAN translation. CVLAN range transparent is for ONU, which use continuous VLAN and does not need to do VLAN translation. And untagged mode is for ONU that use untagged mode. When choose CVLAN mode, there are at least 2 VLAN ID need to be set. User VLAN and translate VLAN. Normally we fill 2 VLAN as same VLAN. That means no need to use VLAN translation. If you need VLAN translation, Please fill user VLAN as your ONU WAN VLAN and translate VLAN as the VLAN you want to do translation. There have another VLAN option name, Translate S VLAN. If you set the Translate S VLAN, that means Q in Q is used. If you choose CVLAN Range Translate mode, there have two VLAN need to fill. One is Begin Vid, another is End Vid. You can fill the VLAN range you want to set, and then VLAN at the range will all transparent to ONU. When you not configure VLAN in ONU, then service mode need to use untagged mode. And you also need to set Translate VLAN, which is only used in the OLT. After configure the line profile, we need to configure service profile. Before configure the service profile, you need to make sure you ONU work at which mode. The ONU have two mode, one is HGU, another is SFU. There is a simple way to tell the type of ONU. You can open the ONU web. If the ONU, which you can configure WAN, is HGU. If you can't configure WAN, is SFU. And VSOL ONU have some special ONU model can work at both mode. Like one port ONU, if you configure ONU WAN, then it is HGU. If you don't configure ONU WAN, then it is SFU. And most of the MTK chip ONU can work at HGU or SFU mode. You can select it work at which mode. After make sure your ONU type, then we can start configure the service profile. For HGU, you need to configure VAP1 transparent mode like example photo. For SFU, you can configure different VLAN to different ONU LAN port. You need to configure tag mode and bind the ETH port ID you want to set. Such as if you want to configure LAN 1 tag VLAN 100. You can configure the tag mode VLAN 100 ETH1. After create the line profile and service profile, we need to bind profile to PON port. Go into the menu OLT Configuration ONU Auto Learn. Select the line profile, service profile, or other profiles. Then bind them on PON port. You can only bind partial PON port you want to connect ONU. Then click Submit button to finish binding profile. For example, configuration as shown below. The content of the previously configured line profile and service profile will be automatically added to the ONU once ONU register in OLT. Please note that the Autobind will only affect the ONU which register after you configure Autobind. If you want the ONU which had registered in OLT bind same profile, you can delete all ONU and make them registered again. The Autobind also support VSOL Private Protocol Manage. Refer to the previous section for information on what can be configured. We can use the PRI profile to modify VSOL ONU parameters. For example, parameters like SIP register server, TR069 register parameters, WAN connection, is all able to batch modify by PRI profile. The Autobind also support bind profile base on ONU model. Before using it, you also need to create line profile and SRV profile. Then we need to know the ONU equipment ID first. You can get it at OLT Configuration, ONU Auth-List, Detail Info, and you can see the ONU equipment ID. Then go into menu OLT Configuration, ONU Auto Learn, ONU Autobind. Input the equipment ID and select Profile and Add. Such as example, we need to bind the ONU which equipment ID is MONUH223 and bind line 2 and SRV2 to this model ONU. The finally configuration is like example photo. And please note that this autobind is only affect the ONU register after configure this. It will not affect the ONU that registered at this OLT. And the priority is higher that autobind based on PON. There is a full example to tell you how to use the autobind base on PON and base on ONU model. There we SFU use V2801RD, HGU use HG323RW as example. First, we need to create the ONU line profile, service profile, and PRI profile. We will make the SFU and HGU use different profile. For HGU, we use profile line HGU, SRV HGU, and PRI1. For SFU, we use profile line SFU and SRV SFU. Please note that the HGU portlan need to set transparent VAP1. And SFU need to set tag Eth1 and bind VLAN. Then we will create HGU PRI profile. In this example, we will make OLT auto-configure ONU WAN, including the Internet WAN, VoIP WAN, and Bridge WAN. And we'll set the ONU SIP register IP address. First, we add a profile in PRI profile menu. And click Detail and Modify to edit parameters. Then select WAN IPv4/v6 to create WAN. Then we configure Internet WAN. Set the parameters that being marked. Service mode, choose Internet. Connect mode, choose DHCP. After that, configure VoIP WAN. Set the parameters that being marked. Service mode, choose VoIP. Connect mode, choose DHCP. Keep others default. Then create Bridge WAN, service mode, choose Other, and select the binding long port. The Bridge WAN is for pass the IPTV. Next, we configure the SIP server IP address and port. There may be several servers in a big service provider, but we usually only need to configure proxy server and register server. So there we keep others being default or follow the ISP's request. If there is only one server, you can configure proxy server and register server the same address. Besides, there also need to set SIP account, password, and number. Considering usually different ONU have different SIP account. Here we won't use profile to configure ONU SIP account, password, and number. Next, let's bind profile at PON and ONU model. In Auto Learn menu, we choose SFU profile. In Autobind menu, we fill in correct equipment ID and select HGU profile. Because the Autobind based on model, its priority higher than based on PON. So there, if connect HG323RW, it will bind HGU profile. If connect V2801RD, it will bind SFU profile. After connected ONU, wait for ONU registered. You can check the ONU binding status at profile configuration. Bind profile. After registered, you can see HG323RW bind HGU profile and V2801RD bind SFU profile. Then we can click the ONU config, and we can see HG323RW WAN configuration is same as the profile. And we can see the SIP server configuration is also same as the profile. Next, we talk about the profile of VSOL EPON OLT. because EPON used different protocol to manage the ONU. So EPON is configured in a different way, and the profile configure have some different. Because EPON PON VLAN is based on the PON configuration. So if you use SFU, only need to configure the LAN VLAN. If you use HGU, only need to configure the WAN VLAN and WAN setting. Here we use the HGU as example. And we will create a WAN profile and VoIP profile. Enter to OLT Web Profile Configuration. Service Profile. Add or Commit menu. Fill in Profile ID and click Add. Then go to WAN IPv4/v6 menu. In Profile ID choose the one created before. There we will create Internet WAN first. WAN Connect mode choose Root and click Add. Modify WAN parameter. WAN mode choose Internet. Here I take DHCP as an example. Then enable VLAN, use tag mode, there we use VLAN 3000 as example. After that select service mode Internet mode. And select the port binding. After configuration done, click Submit. Then add a VoIP WAN in Service Profile. Modify WAN parameter. Here we use DHCP WAN as example. Enable VLAN and input the VLAN. Here we use VLAN 3100 as example. And service mode use VoIP. After all configuration done, click Submit. Then add a bridge WAN for IPTV. WAN Connect mode choose Bridge and click Add. Modify WAN parameter. Enable VLAN and input the VLAN ID. WAN service mode choose Other. And select the port binding. After configuration done, click Submit. After configuration done, WAN Connect table should be showing like below image. Then add a VoIP profile. In Profile Configuration, VoIP Profile. Add or Commit menu. Fill in Profile ID and click Add. This menu is used for configure ONU SIP parameter, like SIP register server and SIP proxy server. Go to SIP menu. In Profile ID choose the one created before. What we need to input is the proxy IP/port and register IP/port. If your ISP need change other parameters, you can set it there also. Here example SIP server is 192.168.10.10 and server port is 5060. After configuration done, click the Submit button at the bottom. Then bind the profile to PON. We can use commands or OLT web to bind the profile to PON. Here we use PON2 as example. You can follow these commands to bind the profile to PON. Or you can configure it at OLT web like example photo and submit it. After that, Autobind configure is done. Then we can connect ONU to OLT to test. Before connect to OLT, ONU WAN and SIP parameters is imply. After ONU registered, and wait some time for ONU to apply all configuration. You can see ONU create 3 WAN as profile. And all the SIP parameters is same as OLT profile. That means OLT Autobind configuration is working normal. And we can check the ONU binding status at OLT. Enter to bind profile web menu, you can see the ONU bind the profile. And the profile is the Autobind profile. VSOL ONU also support use mirror function to capture the packet for diagnosis. Sometime when we face network issue, and all config look like normal, we can use mirror function to check the issue. Please note that you need to configure the mirror first, then capture the packet, and then wait 5 minutes to make sure the ONU packet interaction has been completed. For the sake of analysis, please explain your network environment when sending the message to the engineer. For example, the IP/MAC of the ONU, the IP of the server. What business problems occur, what phenomena occur, and so on. Different ONU chips have different ways to enable the ONU mirror. Please consult the sales staff for specific chip models for ONU. For ZTE or RTK chip ONU, we need to enable it by commands. First, you need to set the ONU firewall to low and enable the long port telnet. Please make your computer directly connect to ONU long port, then log in the ONU web. Here is some example to set the ONU firewall to low and enable the long port telnet. You can set it according to the page type reference. Example 1 is for ZTE chip 1 long port ONU. In this ONU, you can click the Security Firewall. Set the firewall to low first. Then click Service Control, delete the discard LAN telnet limit. After that you can telnet to ONU. Example 2 is for RTK chip 1 or 2 long port ONU. In this ONU, you can click the Firewall ACL. Then make the firewall level to low and apply. Some firmware will ban LAN telnet port even if you set the firewall level. You can delete the telnet limit at ACL table. Example 3 is for many RTK chip ONU. If you use these ONU, you also need to click Security Firewall. Set the firewall to low first. Then click the Security IP/port filtering. Command filtering. Enable the LAN telnet and submit. Example 4 is for new ZTE or RTK chip ONU. In this ONU, after you set the firewall to low, you can see the login privilege. Then you can click the telnet and enable the LAN telnet. Secondly, use telnet tool to telnet ONU, such as we use PuTTY to telnet ONU. For ZTE chip ONU, please use the commands shown in PPT, where PON 0 is fixed and EPON depends on which LAN port the computer is connected to the ONU. Like example ETH0 is means LAN 1, if you connect at LAN 2, you need to input the ETH1. So the commands at the PPT is means we mirror the PON port traffic to ONU LAN 1. After input the mirror command, you can use command to check the mirror configuration states. If the results show like this, that means mirror is success. For RTK chip ONU, please use the commands shown in PPT. Some ONU need to input the Enter Linux shell to enter to command mode first. If you don't know if you need to type it, you can just type it first after logging in to telnet. Then input command to enter to diag mode. And you can use the commands to show the ONU port first. Normally, the PON port is digital large interface and speed is 1000 mega. The long port is digital small interface. Speed is same as the computer Nicaraguan Cordobas speed. Then use command to enable the PON mirror. The first number is LAN port number. The second number is PON port number. The example commands is means mirror the PON port to LAN 1. After input the mirror command, you can use command to check the mirror configuration states. If the results show like this, that means mirror is success. Third, open Wireshark and select the correct Nicaraguan Cordobas to start the packet capture. If you know how to filter the packet, you can filter the packet when capture the packet. If you use MTK chip ONU, you can enable the PON mirror by ONU web. You can click the self-diagnosis port mirroring, then enable and apply it first. After that, start the capture packets. After mirror done, you can download the mirror packet. Next, we talk about the VSOL INCE management system. We can use VSOL INCE to manage VSOL OLT and ONU. In VSOL INCE, you can add your OLT and manage almost all OLT configuration, such as VLAN setting, up or down the uplink port, configure the ONU, and you can check OLT alarm and state at VSOL INCE. For VSOL INCE, you can use our VSOL public server or install the server software at your Linux server. For how to install the INCE to your Linux server, please watch the other videos. Here we not talk about this. You can use our VSOL public server for test. So here we only use our VSOL public server as example. First, you need to open the web URL. Please note that this URL may change in the future. So if you cannot access it, please check the website announcement or contact the engineer for details. Then you will see the web page like this. If you don't have an account, you can click Register to register an account first. Here, please use email to register INCE, because we find some customer phone number unable to receive SMS from server. So now we disable the SMS register. Please use your email to register INCE. Get the verification code from the email and fill in the confirmation to complete the registration. Registration and use is currently completely free. Please remember the registered email and password. You will need to use it to log in after registration. If login success, you can see the web page like this. You need to add your OLT to server, then use it. So next, we will talk about how to register your OLT to VSOL INCE. Before add OLT to INCE, we need to get your project ID at first. This ID is in order to distinguish your OLT from other users. If you fill in the wrong ID when using your account, even if the OLT successfully connects to the server, it will not be able to see your OLT. You can click your project like the example photo. Then copy your project ID first. Then log in your OLT web and click System Configuration SNMP Remote Server. Input the server URL, then input your project ID to INCE SN. If your OLT use old version, there will show the username or password. You can input your project ID to username or password both. If it show connected, that means the OLT connect server successfully. Then you can use VSOL INCE to manage your OLT. After OLT connect to INCE successfully, you can manage your OLT configuration by INCE. All configuration is same as you configure OLT at OLT web. And you can check your OLT running version and OLT status at this page. You can easily use VSOL INCE to view and manage the alarm information of all connected devices. The VSOL INCE will get all the OLT alarm and show the alarm at its web. And you can change the priority of the alarm if you want. If you need to use email to get the alarm, you can set your server email alarm configure first. Then select what alarm need to send to your email. If all configuration is correct, then you can see the alarm at your email. You can monitor the OLT status by INCE. After you setting the OLT monitor, VSOL INCE will monitors the OLT at intervals and graphs the data. You can monitor the OLT CPU or memory usage, temperature, port traffic, etc. VSOL INCE also include a TR069 server. You can connect your ONU to INCE TR069 server and use it to configure the ONU configuration or check the ONU state. If you need continuous monitoring the ONU status, you can use VSOL MQTT server. After connect ONU to MQTT server, you can continuous monitoring the ONU optical power or internet traffic. It will give you a way to monitor some special ONUs. That's all for this course. Thank you for your attention and listening.